I'm alive. I'm alive. I think I'm alive. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Reds Talk, your morning show. It's a morning show. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Um, we've got a bit of a mad show today. Honestly, some news broke last. In fact, just get your coffees ready, have a little swig of your water, or whatever it is you're gonna do, and then we'll dive into everything. Because we've had some big breaking news last night in regards to the sale of Manchester United. But before I dive into everything, you guys know the script already. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then what are you doing? Please do consider hitting that subscribe button, smash a like on the video. And yeah, and if you want to become a real Red Ultra for exclusive content every Monday, a badge next to your name and a chance to feature on the show, click the join button next to the notification bell. Right, let me just have a swig of this because it's a big story that's come out. Big story. So all right, let's dive into this together. Get your comments in as I go through it. So, about 10:30 last night, news came out from the Sun Sport that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been chosen as the preferred bidder. Now, the headline reads, "The Glazers are finally ready to sell Manchester United with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the preferred bidder." Ratcliffe and his Ineos petrochemicals giant have been engaged in a drawn-out bidding war with Qatari banker Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani for ownership of British football's biggest club. A huge complication over the 5-month process, which has seen 3 rounds of bidding, was the growing desire by co-chairman Joel and Avram Glazer to remain at the club. This has been a sticking point. We know this as fans. With the Glazers' chosen deal makers, the US-based Rain Group, expected to confirm the winning bid within days, apparently Sun Sport understands that Ratcliffe is the preferred bidder. That would mean an imminent exodus of the rest of the Old Trafford top brass, including Chief Executive Richard Arnold, which I'm going to touch on very, very shortly, but not the 2 Glazers siblings. Old Trafford insiders have indicated the Glazers would prefer to sell majority control to Ratcliffe's Ineos Sports rather than flogging the whole club to Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani. So get your swig of your coffee. Now, it's nice. Before I give my opinion on this, a few things I just want to preempt with it. Just remember, everyone, this is probably a pre-written brief to the press or like a PR agency, hence the timing of the release. I think any reputable breaking news is likely to come from business sources or direct source from the club. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind as well is Doha News reported yesterday that Qatar or Sheikh Jassim was the favoured preferred bidder who was going to win the bid. So we're taking this with a pinch of salt at the minute, but let's just take it at face value and let's just say it's true. This news that's come out is true, right? We always kind of knew this was a possibility, especially in the recent weeks when the rumours came out about the siblings staying on, whilst Ratcliffe is, the majority stakeholder. And eventually he would then move to buy them out. But for Manchester United fans, or at least speaking from a personal point of view, just knowing them greedy bastards are still at the club isn't enough for me. Like, I feel like a lot of people have, divisive opinions on this and people want different things, and that's absolutely fine. In 1958, I have similar opinions to ourselves where we just want full sale only. Not saying that means Qatar to come in, but we just want a full sale. We don't want the Glazers still here, knowing they're still making money off it. And I also get that everybody is going to have their own opinions on this and everybody's different. But one thing we was all united on was the fact that we wanted them parasites gone regardless. So I'm not a personal fan of this news. I'm not a fan of what Sir Jim has done with Nice either. If you look into his work, since he'd taken over Nice before he came in, Nice had finished in the top 4 3 times, I think, something along the lines of that. It looks since he's gone in, the statements he was making when he bought the club for like £90 million, he was saying we're going to be challenging PSG, we're going to be in the Champions League, we're going to be doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he's done anything but. The recruitment's questionable as well. They're signing like old Premier League washouts like Ross Barkley, Aaron Ramsey, Kasper Schmeichel, which isn't a bad signing to be fair, but you take my point. Not only that, they had a big like kind of fluff up at the top of the table. Not top of the table, top of the board of the directors, basically, where he sacked Christophe Gaitier, I think his name is, who's now the manager for PSG. They got rid of like two fantastic board of directors. There were just arguments going on left, right, and centre. And I also take into account that, you know, it was the COVID pandemic for a good chunk of his reign whilst he was over there. But this is Nice. This is a club that's, you know, Europa League worth. And some people might laugh and say, well, United's Europa League worth. But Nice, in comparison to Manchester United, is absolute worlds apart. And he's struggling with that club. So what makes people think that he's going to be top toe with Manchester United? I know in his other kind of endeavours in sport, in F1 and his sailing team, is it? The Grenadiers or whatever they're called. He's done relatively well. But in football, he's not really yet to succeed yet. I know he's got another team as well, thinking Scandinavian country. I'm not sure how they're getting on. But if just look at his work in general in Nice, it's not been great at all. So this is another thing that concerns me about it. And I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of Sir Jim coming in, and I get that people have their doubts about Qatar. Well, not even the doubts, they're just obviously the questionable human rights, and that's where, as fans, we're morally conflicted as to what we can go for. Some people are just not bothered by it. Some people are just saying, well, we'll take Sheikh Jassim, you know, as long as he's injecting cash in my club and we succeed. Some people are happy with that. Some people are saying, you know, they want the British-born Sir Jim Ratcliffe with his Brexit statement saying we're going to put the Manchester back in United or the United back in Manchester, whatever it was. But I think that's changed a lot as well since he announced that you know, he'd be working with the Glazers to keep them on, because that's the end of the story for me. If you want to keep the Glazers on and they're still making money from this club and they're still going to be here for the next couple of years, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't care if eventually they're going to go. They are still here, which means it's like a punch in the stomach. We've waited 18 years for these guys to go. They announced the news back in November. Everybody's ecstatic. Everybody's really happy. Then they drag it out for 3 rounds of bidding over a 6-month period. And we finally get to a point where we're like, finally. Like The Rock in WWE, where you're like, finally, The Rock has come back. Like the Glazers have just gone, we're staying, mate. And it's, yeah, I'm not happy with it at all. Get your comments in on the YouTube, relatively quiet. Make sure you smash a like on the video as well. Let's read out some comments from TikTok and let's have a look what people are saying. Roberto's watching from South Africa. Always nice to see other people watching. Drag it out, raise the price, mayhem if the Glazers stay, in my opinion. Absolutely. Yeah. Brian, what do we think about this Sir Jim news? Let me know your thoughts, please. Look, like I said, I preempted at the start saying this is the Sun Sport. And someone put a tweet out last night as well where the Sun Sport had reported that Qatar were favourites. And then 12 hours later, they were saying that Sir Jim is favourites. So I don't know if they're trying to get the jump on this or if they're just doing it for clout reasons or whatever it is, because it is the Sun. And to be honest, the only person I think has any credibility from the Sun who's kind of has ties to Manchester United is someone like a Neil Custis. That's it. Anyone else comes out, I take it with not even a pinch of salt, with a spoonful of salt. So I don't believe this is true. It's just me personally, but it's not to say it isn't. What do I know? I'm not an ITK or anything like that. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. Another thing that's mentioned in this article as well, let me just blow my nose. Oh, I needed that. They were speaking about the board of directors. And apparently, according to this article as well, Richard Arnold will be axed with others. And this isolated alone might not be a bad thing. The thing is with the board of directors, right? What do? You come in, you've got all this turbulence from the new ownership and new transfers coming in and new things being put in place everywhere. And then you're like, if you go sack your board of directors who, yes, are incompetent and we've criticised them before, but you go sack them and then it's even more shaky. So me personally, if I was a new owner going in, and people might disagree with this, I would keep them in situ for 6 months, maybe to the next summer. Just whilst you're getting in, you're getting your transfers in, you're getting everything sorted. And then over the winter window in January, and then when you get towards the end of the next window, that's when you start removing heads, and not obviously literally, metaphorically start removing heads. You get rid of your Richard Arnolds or your other guys who would think, because this is what he's saying here, they're going to get rid of all of them. And Laurie Whitwell put something out today with The Athletic, which I thought was interesting. And he says, a source with knowledge of United on Richard Arnold said he wants to do a fucking good job. You can tell he really cares. He has got not an aura, but a proper sense of authority. Very decisive when a decision needs to be made. He'll do it. Now, that's interesting because I remember the summer transfer window, like probably most of you remember the summer transfer window. And it wasn't very decisive in there because him and Murtaugh flying out to Barcelona, what was it, like 4 or 5 times to try to get the De Jong deal done. Didn't happen. You know, Murtaugh flying out to Turin to sign Rabiot. Didn't happen. Last minute panics for Arnautovic. Didn't happen. And then they said, oh, it's because the fans didn't want it, and that's why they stopped the deal, which just shows their incompetence anyway. The talk that he had with the fans, do you remember that at the pub? When he was sat at the pub saying, oh, yeah, we've got loads of money, mate. We've got loads of money. Don't worry about it. We're going to spend 200 million. We've got this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you don't know. You really don't know where you stand with this guy. Whether he's done a better job since Woodward has left or not, I mean, to be honest, that's debatable. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's been slightly better, but he's still been a part of the regime. This is what I mean. These guys are kind of being like rebranded as these new board of directors, and it's not like Murtaugh's been at the club for years. Richard Arnold's been at the club for years and was sat under Ed Woodward whilst all this madness was going on, the poor recruitment, the loads of other things that we can mention, scouting as well. So I'm not having it that these, Richard Arnold's, no matter, regardless of how many people or credible people put out there that he's been really good for the club and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think it's absolute bullshit, to be honest. Brian is saying, not sure what to make of this, to be honest. On one half, I'm happy with finally coming to the end, but not happy the Glazers stay. But this story stinks of getting the first report. Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to get the jump on it, doesn't it, Brian? There's also the worry, no matter who the new owner is that they could decide they don't want Ten Hag, regardless of how good he is over the past 9 months. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you get a Todd Bowley situation where he's kind of come in playing, what the fuck is that? I don't know if any of you can hear that. Sounds like there's coronation going on outside. Maybe King Charles is outside with his sausage fingers. But yeah, I take your point on the what was he saying? I lost my head now. What was I saying? Also, no matter who the new owner is, that they could decide they don't. Yeah, Ten Hag, the manager. Sorry, Todd Bowley came in, didn't he, with Tuchel, and a lot of the Chelsea fans were really unhappy with that. Then he brought in Graham Potter. And then Graham Potter left, and then they brought Frank Lampard back, and then they spent £600 million on transfers, and it's just not worked. Just goes to show you can have as much money on the planet. We know this all too well as Manchester United fans. You've got £1.2 billion that we've spent on transfers over the past 10 years, and we're still saying that we've got deadwood that we need to sell at least 10 players, and we sold 10 players last summer, pretty much. That tells you everything you need to know, excuse me, about our transfer strategy. Just tells you everything you need to know. So if we get someone coming in willy-nilly saying, oh, without a clue about football, and they're saying, oh, yeah, I'm not sure about this Eric Ten Hag lad. He's lost the past couple of games. We want to buy this guy and we want to do that. United fans won't take that. I think there's been one outstanding shining light this season, even though I know we won a trophy and it's kind of falling off a little bit towards the end now. But one shining light has been Ten Hag and the things that he's done here, getting rid of Ronaldo, winning his first trophy. Top 4, yeah, bit questionable at the minute, but he's definitely got us playing a better brand of football. And we've had some mega performances. We've beat City, we've beat Arsenal, we've beat Barcelona this season. So there are a lot of positives to take. There's some negatives, but I think Ten Hag will address that with time. You just need to give him a couple of windows, and I really do think he can take us to the very top, especially with a cash injection. Can Sir Jim Ratcliffe give us this cash injection? I'm not entirely sure. That's funny. David Murdoch saying the only credibility from the Sun is the heat. Yeah, absolutely. Would you swap Ten Hag for Pep? Nope. I've heard Qatar are preferred buyers. Now I hear Sir Jim is preferred buyer. Like, who is it? Well, this is what I mean. I think this is a case of the Sun Sport trying to get a jump on the story. Because how can you report? How can you have any credibility whatsoever if you report, 10 hours ago, 12 hours ago that Qatar are winning the bid, and then 12 hours later it's like exclusive. So Jim Ratcliffe is the preferred bidder. It's kind of like you're putting two out there, waiting for something to be announced, and then going, "Yeah, look, we had an article on this. We had an article on this." Do you know what I mean? It's like putting a bet on and saying United are going to win, City are going to win. Do you know what I mean? Saying that, you can't get a draw in bidding, can you? To be fair, maybe if someone sweeps you with a minority stake, which again wouldn't surprise me with the Glazers because that is something they want, but. Just to touch on the rest of the article. So while Sheikh Jassim's 5 billion bid for full control was the highest sum offered, Sir Jim and Ineos deal for 50% valued the full club at a price point closer to the Glazers' demanded 6 billion. And the Ineos offer will allow the two Glazers to retain their stakes while letting the four other siblings cash out their shares. A number of American financial institutions also bid to buy minority stakes in the club, and that could allow the Glazers to retain control and finance improvements to the Old Trafford Stadium and Carrington training ground. But now it seems a Ratcliffe-led partial takeover is the preferred option. The main issues, as I've already said, for a lot of people is the Glazers staying on and the overarching debt. What happens with this debt that we've had for years? I know they've said his company will take it on, but then does that not still affect proceedings going forward when we're moving into the market? Does that not affect if we want to upgrade certain facilities like the stadium, like the training ground, like the women's team? It just felt like Sheikh Jassim, there's two sides to it here. Sheikh Jassim wants 100% full control of the club. He's going to invest in everything, the women's team, youth development, stadium, training facilities, make sure we have everything up to date with significant cash devoted to the club. What the fuck is that? Can you hear that? Some scrap metal thing outside my house. Just completely distracted me. No worries, scrap metal. Thanks a lot, mate. I've lost my train of thought now because this stupid horn theme tune. It sounds like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or something. Like I'm in fucking Benidorm. Imagine what he can do with a squad of his own players. That's what I mean. But at the same point, you don't want to go too ridiculous. Just, tailor who he wants. Don't get, all right, we're going to get Mbappe. We're going to get this guy. We're going to get this guy. We're going to get fucking, I don't know, Bellingham, this guy. Like, just be astute with your signings and get who Ten Hag wants. Instead of involve Weghorst, get him a Vlahovic or get him a Ramos or get him a Kane, whatever it is. That's the difference. Like, under this current owners now, we was in a situation in January where we was competing on all fronts and they get Weghorst in. You're like, what's the point, mate? What's the point? What is he really going to do? What is he going to contribute? The guy still hasn't got a league goal yet. And this isn't just a hunting party for Weghorst. But look, Arsenal were competing at the top, still in, I think they were still in the FA Cup and Europa League at the time. And they went and got Trossard. And they was trying to sign Moises Caicedo as well. That's a club who's like, right, we're there. Let's go get someone to help us compete. The same thing happened last year when Ragnick was in charge. He wanted to sign a Zakaria or someone like that. I think Julian Alvarez was mentioned as well for 15 million. United completely ignored him. And then we wanted to sell Lingard as well or send him out on loan. United completely ignored him and then waited until the summer. So this is what I mean. I don't know what. I can't say for a fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be fantastic. I can't say for a fact that Qatar and Sheikh Jassim is going to be fantastic. I just want what's best for Manchester United, and I think we can all say that as a collective. And I think we can all say as a collective as well that we just want the Glazers gone, ultimately. So, Jim coming in will be the death of the club, say bye to ever being serious again, says Ben. United Daily saying, read the Glazers prefer Sir Jim's bid. Yep. And I see Qatar as the preferred bid. If Neymar leaves PSG this summer, should he go to the Premier League? He can go to the Premier League, but not Manchester United. Not on my watch. Zunad says Rat can put the debt back to the club once he buys the club. United don't want it to spend. That's why back in January, surely Qatar is the best answer. everybody's divided on this. Absolutely, everybody is divided on this, and everybody has their own opinion. Some people want Sir Jim, some people want Qatar, some people just want the Glazers gone, and they don't give a fuck who it is who comes in. But it's just my feeling, if Sir Jim comes in and he's working with the Glazers, does that feel like any kind of win for the United fans whatsoever? It doesn't for me personally. So, Shah Sam, I'm worried that Ten Hag and United's history won't be able to attract elite players without money. Look, United, just based with their own revenue, should be able to invest as much as they want, really. We make about 600 million per year. But because of the wages that we've given out, I think David De Gea's wages, Sancho's wages, Varane's wages, and let's just say Martial's wages together, it's so much. It's so much. You're talking like £1 million a week, £2 million, like almost £5 million a month or something for 4 players. Let me just figure this out. It's quick math. So Sancho per month is 1.4 million on his own. De Gea per month, you're talking 400k, 1.6 million. Like, so the wage bill is huge. I think it's the biggest in the Premier League, which is obviously takes a massive chunk of our revenue. I think it's about 300 million or something along the lines of that. Then we've got the debt payments, which I think equivalent to 40 to 50 million per year on top of that. And then we've got like a club credit card that we're paying off as well. So this is why we're limited. And then you got your FFP regulations that come in saying you're going to have to sell more players now. And we can't sell players because of the wages that they're on. So it's an absolute financial minefield for United going into the summer. And that is why we need a significant cash injection, because there's so much money that needs to be invested in this. But if you make us great again, that's one thing I'd say to the new owners. If you make us great again, the return you're going to get on your money will be huge in 5-10 years' time. If the club's worth 4 or 5 billion now, if you inject money into it, new stadium, new training ground, United are competing at the very top. They've got fantastic players. The wage bill has been adjusted in a certain sense. 10 years' time, it's going to be worth double, innit? So it's a no-brainer for a lot of people. That's why it's such a commodity to have. United doesn't come around on the market very often, and it's available right now. And according to the Sun Sport, Sir Jim Ratcliffe apparently is the preferred bidder. It's either way for whatever person comes in. It's a huge financial commitment for either side, and I just don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to invest that much money as opposed to Qatar. But again, I don't know. I think the most important thing is, how do you guys feel about this? Because we're the fans, aren't we? We're the ones who are suffering. We're the ones who don't hear anything at all. I mean, I would fucking love some communication from both parties and the Glazers as to what's going on, rather than having to read a clickbaity article coming out from the Sun, which kind of makes you feel like, oh, actually, is Sir Jim going to win it? Scaremongering. Because the Sun Sport, let's be honest, rarely someone put before, the only credibility they have is being hot, and that's the Sun itself, of course. So I don't take this as absolute gospel, but I can't 100% confirm that it's not true and it's not real. We might hear something in an hour's time. We might hear something tonight that Sir Jim actually does win it, and then the Sun Sport will be made to look like they was right all along. But like I said, they put 2 articles out, so you never know who to trust. I said before at the start, really, I think this is PR. You've seen coming out from Doha that Qatar are winning it, and you've seen from the Sun Sport that Sir Jim are winning it. I think it's PR from an agency, and I think if you're going to listen to anyone, you have the business insiders like Mike Keegan, who's been relatively good on this, or you wait for the club to confirm or something like that. So always, Media House is in the chat saying want neither Jim or Qatar. Make sure you do smash a like on the video, by the way, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. AFC saying miss the players that fought for the badge. Rooney Park, happier times. Yeah, we've still got mercenaries at the club. That's the issue. I think we need to get rid of. Off the top of my head right now, I think Brandon Williams needs to go. I think Twan Davies' contract's running out anyway. I think we should probably sell Donny. We should probably sell Martial. We should probably sell De Gea. Probably sell Maguire, Fred, McTominay. Who else am I missing? Ilanga. Wan-Bissaka. Trying to think. Sancho is really, I'm really on the fence about Sancho at the minute. I think if you're going to be ruthless, and if United are going to do what they've put out there, well, the Athletic have put out there saying they're going to be more ruthless in the summer windows and sell players when they've got a certain value, like McTominay, for example. Now, if you're going to sell him, best time probably be selling now. You know, still 25, good age profile. Newcastle want him, get some money for him. Same thing with, I think with Sancho now, like, if he has another bad year in the Premier League, his price is just going to go. Whereas you could probably recoup 40 to 50 million for him right now and get his wages off the bill. He's on 350 grand a week. I know not everybody wants Sancho out and people might come from the head on that. But if you're really being ruthless and you really want to win a title, that's what I mean. Brian saying agree with all of them, but wages of Sancho and Maguire won't help selling them. And I just don't think we'll sell them anyway. I really, really don't. I think this ownership thing is going to drag into the transfer window. We're going to be dragging our heels. And unfortunately, it's going to affect the sales once again. We all remember last summer going into it, we had Darwin Núñez as a target. We had Frenkie de Jong as a target. Jurrien Timber was a target. And we didn't get any of them. Spent 12 weeks on de Jong. Got Anthony and Casemiro towards the end of the window. Tried signing Rabiot and Arnautovic. And then it was just an absolute mess, wasn't it? And I feel like it's going to be a mess again. Because how have we gone from November when the Glazers announced that they're going to sell the club, and we're fast forward to May, and we still don't know any more, do we? Are we any further along the line than what we was in November? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. It's round after round after round after round after round. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it came out tomorrow or tonight that they're going to do another round of bidding. Or this is now the exclusive round, the VIP round. Just shake and just Jim in this one. Let's pump it up more until I get this £6 billion that we want. I don't know. I don't want Sir Jim in, to be honest. I've looked at his work at Nice. I'd advise anyone to go look at it. Yes, he's done well in other sports, in like sailing and F1 and things like that. That's fantastic, but it's not football. And if you can't run a football club like Nice in a good way, how are you going to run a club like a giant like Manchester United effectively? You know, this guy claims he's a United fan, but had a season ticket at Chelsea and claims he couldn't travel up to Manchester. So how much is his actual heart in Manchester? Do you know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. That didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. Lewis Jackson saying Qatar all day long. I just want to get over the line for top four first. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think Sir Jim and Sheikh Jassim have both said they're not bothered whether they get top four or not. They still want to buy the club or still want to buy it for the same amount. We've got Dale Richardson, I think it is, saying they don't want to sell the club. They're trying to make the club worth more. United Daily saying, funny thing is, Casemiro was another typical Glazer buy, throwing money about, worked out though. I know it did. It did. Look, in the silver lining was we didn't get Frenkie de Jong, which I was absolutely heartbroken about, which many people don't know. We didn't get him, so we ended up getting Casemiro, which has turned out fantastic. He's been amazing. Not in the past couple of weeks, he's not, but he's been amazing. It just wasn't planned though, was it? Just was not planned at all. The fact we bought Anthony for 85 million wasn't planned at all. It was all just like headless chickens, and we can't do that again. If we want to compete at the top, you want to start competing for titles, you got to get your business done early. If we was an astute club and we did our shit right, start the window, get Harry Kane done. If Daniel Levy's dragging his heels and he's saying he wants 100 million plus, fuck it off and go look elsewhere. Go get a Gonçalo Ramos. Go get someone like that. Don't drag your heels. Know your targets. Go and get them. And that is what Ten Hag wants to do. And Ten Hag cannot do that as long as this is dragging on. That's it. That's the irritating thing. Siobhan saying, I'm feeling Qatari. I think a few more Ajax players will join us next season. I think Jurrien Timber, to be honest. United Daily look back at the Fergie days. He knew who he wanted and had them in for pre-season. Think about our pre-season, right? Last year, we had Tyrone Malacia on the plane. That's it. And pre-season is so important to players. So important. If you miss a pre-season, you're behind a month or 2 months going into the season there. Obviously, we didn't have Casemiro and Antony until like September when they started playing games. And then it took Casemiro about a month or a month and a half whilst McTominay was in the team. And we was all discussing one where I remember it saying like, oh, well, you know, can McTominay's keeping him out in a minute. I don't even know if Casemiro can get in the squad, which looks like absolute madness now, doesn't it, when you think back? But that's the long-term effect it has to the start of the season. And you think about Liverpool, who you look at their attack, if they sort their midfield out, maybe bring in a defender, they could be a serious team again. And it kills me to say it because I hate Liverpool, but they can. They can be a serious team again. Chelsea, if they get the manager right, they sell a chunk of players and he gets them talented players clicking, they could be a threat and they could be a problem. Arsenal are challenging for the title this season. Their age profile of the squad is ridiculous. Ramsdale's 24, Ben White's 25, Saliba's 22, Gabriel's 25, Zinchenko 26. The midfield's relatively old, but they're going to reinvest in that in a Declan Rice or a Casado. And then the attackers, Martinelli 21, Saka 21, Ødegaard 24, Jesus 26. So they're going to be here for another couple of years, at least challenging. I really, really do think that. City are always going to be there. Tottenham will probably relegated, one of them. But there's going to be serious competition next season. And if we're dragging our heels into this summer, top four is going to be questionable again. And then you're going to get you've got new owners, but you're fighting for top four again. What's happened to... I heard some idiot the other day. I think it was that guy off Red Men TV, the Liverpool fan. Can't remember the guy's name. Who actually, a lot of the points he makes, I usually agree with. Like, he's quite smart, he's quite good in his point making, even if he's talking about his own club. But he said something like, "Oh, who are you going to moan at now if the Glazers go? Who are you going to moan at if you don't make top four, you start losing games if the Glazers go?" And it's like, these guys, man, obviously I think they just say it just to kind of poke the bear and poke the fire and get a reaction. But some of these people are absolutely clueless as what these owners have done to this club. Absolutely clueless. Left us in a shit ton of debt. Left people in charge like Ed Woodward, clowns who, because he benefited them commercially and made them big money deals, they completely just blindsided all the recruitment and all the scouting that was going on at the time and just let it continue for 10 years. And then we end up at this point where, think back to the past 10 years, the players that we've signed, how many of them have been like nailed on or been top signings? I think back, you think about Falcao, even strikers, these profile that we signed, Falcao, Cavani. Now, Cavani had his periods. Ronaldo had his, obviously, coming back was a fairy tale story, but Ronaldo didn't work out ultimately. Cavani just mega injury prone. Zlatan was fantastic. That's the only one I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. Igalo as a striker. Forwards, we brought in Memphis Depay, Di Maria. Like, we've spent, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we spent £180 million on Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka, Maguire. Who was the other one? Or in general, sorry, we just spent £180 on Fred, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka. City spent that on like Walker or Cancelo, De Bruyne, and Haaland. There's your difference. That's why one's competing and why one isn't. Just years worth of recruitment. And we've still got players now in our team who are from the David Moyes era. We've got players who are from the Van Gaal era. Players who are from the Mourinho era. Players from the Solskjaer era. Like, that's the issue. You look at Pep Guardiola's team, every player who's in that team now, he signed. Ten Hag needs that. And that's why we need a significant cash injection. We've got 14 people in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around these parts. We're going to have some breaking news soon on this story. Obviously, we've had this PR agency put out the Sunsport that, Sir Jim's going to win the bid. He's the preferred bidder. I'm sure we're going to hear something tonight about Qatar or maybe something different. Like Shreyas is saying there, big announcements rumoured tonight. Zoe's Media House is saying, I find it shocking Man United, the biggest fan base in the world, couldn't attract anyone better than Jim and Qatar. Ben Case is saying Bruno is the only one. Bruno, Zlatan, and Ronaldo for a season. You could argue. The low could turn out to be a good one. And then obviously the ones under Eric Ten Hag have been good. Lisandro Martinez is my favourite player, been player of the season for me. Casemiro, fantastic again. Dropped off a little bit recently, but under Ten Hag's been fine. You look at any window before that, it's hard to find, ones that have been decent, to be honest. It really is. And a lot of them coaches, they weren't buying for the future. They was buying for here and now. And then when that didn't work out, what do you do then? You go get another manager and another manager, and then you get an accumulation of just different players from each manager, and boom, there's your squad. Go make it work. Doesn't work like that. Look what happened. Like, we've got De Gea now. We signed De Gea on a new contract, didn't we? I think, was it 2021? We give him a new deal, or it might have been 2019. It was one of them years where we give him a new deal. Now we're stuck with him, a keeper on 375 grand a week because of Ed Woodward. And Ten Hag, let's be honest, let's be clear. If Ten Hag had whatever money he wanted to spend, do you think he would keep David De Gea at the club? Not a chance. Not a chance. If they said to him this summer, you can spend as much as you want, you can have 300 million, 400 million. You're telling me he's not buying a new keeper? That's what I'm saying. So this is decisions from the past are biting us in the ass right now. Right now. De Gea and Phil Jones were signed by Sir Alex. Exactly. There we go. That's what I mean. 2011, wasn't it? The summer of 2011, Phil Jones and De Gea signed for us under Sir Alex Ferguson. You've still got Martial and Luke Shaw here, who signed under Van Gaal. Mourinho, you've still got Fred, Delo, Eric Bailly. Am I missing anyone else? I'm not sure. Solskjaer, you've obviously still got Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Donny, Tellez. There's probably a couple of missing in as well. Chris, as a Newcastle fan, just to let you know, the Sun said we were sold to the Bin Zayed group about 5 years back. It was complete rubbish. Take them with a huge pinch of salt. Well, thank you very much for that, Chris. I genuinely appreciate that, because a lot of I think it was scaremongering anyway, and I think it was a PR agency putting this out. I don't think it's true. But a lot of fans will read this morning, or they would have read it last night, and they would have been like, oh, fucking hell, he's joking to Jim's. Or they might be like, whoa, get the champagne out, mum. So Jim's putting the Brexit back in United. You just don't know, but I appreciate that, because a lot of people will be worried about it. Zoe's Media House saying Jim and Qatar is almost like Man U replacing Varane and Martinez with Kurt Zuma. Shreya saying Sancho for 80 million after 3 seasons. Yeah, and his wage bills on top of that as well. That's my point. Let's read a few more out from Tech Talk. Decade Talk. Quite a lot of comments, so I'm going to get into them. Keep smashing a like on the video. Let's get more people in on this. I want to know how. Just let me know how you feel about Sir Jim. If you're happy with, if this was actual concrete news and he was becoming the new owner of the club, would you be happy? I put a poll out. 70% have said no. 30% have said yeah. So whoever it is who said yeah, let us know, please, in the comments, and we'll discuss it. Without Martinez and Varane together in our defence is bog standard. I think Shaw and Lindelof have done quite a good job. I think we've actually been all right defensively. I just think offensively we're not taking our chances, and that's where we struggle. Dale Richardson, he's just not played enough to prove himself. Put Shaw out of the team for weeks until after City. Kane is another one. He's another RVP, great for a couple of seasons. That's it. But this narrative with Kane's age and go get Osman. I get it, because that was my stance when the rumors started coming out about both sides. But I think if Kane can do a similar job to what Casemiro's done, add that instant quality, score 25 plus goals, I'll take it. I'll take that. Daniel Simmons in the chat saying you lied. What did I lie about? I'm not the one reporting this. The Sun Sport have come out and said Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the preferred bidder. Go check it. I'm not lying about anything. We're reporting it. This is what we do as the fan channel. So I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Viva Ronaldo saying we need super wealth. There's no two ways about it. And Jim doesn't bring that. Look, that's what I'm saying. The cash injection is significant. But you have Qatar, who have the human rights records, who a lot of people are not happy about either. So either way, whatever way you go, people ain't going to be happy about it. Cooper Andy said it's all media spin. They haven't got a clue. If Sir Jim Ratboy gets a hold of the club, we're done as a top club. There's so many strong opinions on this, and I respect everybody's opinion. I'm not saying anybody's right and anybody's wrong, but I respect everything what people are putting here, everything that people are putting in TikTok. They're making very good points. Very, very good points. And when you supported a club all your life, us as fans are the ones who are getting it in the neck at the minute, because we don't know what's going on. We don't have a clue. Everything's going on in board meetings and phone calls and emails, and we don't get consulted about any of this. So we're left in the dark, and when these clickbait articles come out and they're getting reported, and we've got to sit here and be like, oh shit, is that actually true? You know, people who don't know how media works and PR agencies and stuff like that, they're just going to believe a lot of stuff at face value. And I'm not blaming people for that, because I used to do it, you know, until I started doing this, like a year and a half ago, I started believing anything that came out.
But it is the Sun Sport, and the Sun Sport reported over 12 hours ago, 24 hours ago, that Qatar were winning the bid. So you don't know who to believe. Like, I would just take it from business insiders. So Mike Keegan's been really good on this. And I would take it from when eventually, if the club announce something. That's the only thing I'm trusting at the minute. I'm not going to trust the Sun Sport. I think they're trying to get the jump on it. Shreyas is saying, I'd go for Kane, but won't pay around 100 million. 70 to 80 makes sense. Yeah, 70 to 80 million for Kane's fine. If you're going to pay 100 million or anything over, that's fine. Probably talk to Osimhen. You're going to get a lot more longevity out of him. But Harry Kane is guaranteed gold. He's scored 17 plus goals for the past 10 seasons in the league alone. You bring him into that team, our goal scoring problem. We've only scored 49 goals this season. It's been terrible. And we've conceded a shitload as well. So that goal scoring issue, if you bring Kane in, it just takes the weight off the other players around him, and they'll probably benefit the other players around him. If you've got Rashford on the left, Anthony on the right, it'll benefit him. But all of this can only happen if a new owner comes in early. Get it done early. It's what we're on now. We're on May the 11th. The season ends in a few weeks, right? Are you telling me, are your thoughts right now that the owners are going to be in by then? Never. Not happening. Just not happening at all. So it is going to drag. It's going to drag into the window. It is. And it's unfortunate. Apparently, they were the ones who the Glazers wanted to sell the club initially, which explains the trips to the Middle East. Yeah, there's some poker faces going on. I understand the narrative of guaranteed goals, but Torres didn't guarantee goals at Chelsea. Yeah, but Kane's been doing it a lot longer than Torres, hasn't he? To be fair, a lot longer than Torres. Torres had, 3 good years at Liverpool? And then kind of fizzled out at Chelsea. Kane's been doing this for like a decade almost, pretty much, at the top level. In a shit Tottenham, by the way. Kane scored 25 goals in the league this season in that Tottenham team. Do you know what I'm saying? Imagine him with Bruno next to him, with Rashford next to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he'll do really, really well. But I get people that some people don't want him. It's all about opinions. I'm happy to hear the opinions. Make sure if you're new around these parts, you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because there's going to be some more stuff breaking about this ownership today, and we will go live as and when it happens like that. If you want to become a Real Red Ultra for exclusive content every single Monday, a badge next to your name, and a chance to feature on the show and to be in the starting 11, make sure you click the join button next to the notification bell and become a Real Red Ultra. If Ten Hag wants a counter-pressing team, Kane isn't the one that leads a pressing side. Didn't work out too bad for them. He gave them the Camp Nou moment, to be fair. And some people are saying 50-50 on Kane. But look, like I said, all this transfer talk, all this noise, all these conversations can only start happening once this ownership situation gets sorted. Everything after that is, once that gets announced, that's when you start looking at Richard Arnold, the board of directors, the players. Everything's just going to start being assembled or being assessed and being sorted out. And then the summer's just going to be so big. We're going to be reporting so much stuff if the ownership change hands just before the summer. So very interesting times. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And like I said, if anything breaks, we'll go live. We will have a show later on as well, a breaking news show. So we'll be live regardless. But if anything breaks in between, make sure you come and join us over on Real Reds Talk, and we'll talk it about. We'll go through it together. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.